We've seen a lot. Let's talk about it. It's the Hoops Nerd Show. All right, guys, the season is over, and it's time to look back at the season that was, talk about the game tonight, and then what's up next. But one thing I can assure you with this channel is we are going to be doing a lot more this offseason than we've done before. That is my promise to you. We are absolutely not going to taper off. We tend to go a little quiet in August, but man, with the draft coming up, I've got a lot of things I want to do, a lot of podcasts, a lot of people I want to bring on the channel to talk about, because the Jazz season is not slowing down. The regular season is over. It's now time for draft. It's now time for free agency. The trade season is on its way. And maybe we'll just talk about some NBA playoffs too, because honestly, there's a lot to watch with the Cavaliers, the Wolves. We'll cover it and talk about it all. In fact, I might do a weekly just Jazz news thing. We'll see. We're going to do it. But one thing is for sure, I've got a lot more I want to do with this channel and just talking about the Jazz. All right, so wrong button there, James. All right, so the Jazz lose tonight to the Golden State Warriors. It was a little hairy there for a minute because I thought the Jazz were going to win this one. They tied it up near the end and actually took the lead. The Utah Jazz had to rest Keyonte George, who was fantastic tonight, because they didn't want to win this game. It was so funny. At the end of the game, Brice Sensabaugh got like a block, and they called a foul on him, and we were doing the playback, and just like, nope, looked like a foul to me. And you know who had this same reaction was Will Hardy, because they did not want to win this game. There was no way Will Hardy was going to challenge that call. They were just not interested in winning this game. So mission accomplished. The Utah Jazz lock in the number 8 spot tonight with that loss to the Golden State Warriors. And by the way, the Warriors were not, I mean, they were tanking better than the Jazz in some ways. They were playing players I've never heard of. And so the Jazz did a good job losing this game. But amidst the loss, we saw some great things tonight. Ended on a high note for this Jazz team. Taylor Hendricks was awesome tonight. He played 41 minutes, 6 for 10 from the field. He was 2 for 4 from 3, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, 16 points. I think 16 and 8 is going to start becoming a regular stat line for Taylor Hendricks in the future. The guy looks so good out there. He is so much more comfortable now than when he first started getting minutes with the Jazz. And that is the value of what was going on with this team developing the rookies. There's 2 things that they got from that, guys. They get the number 8 pick in this draft, which gives them a chance to get the 8th best guy if the 7 guys before them are all good. But there is a chance that maybe someone drops to them that they like better, you know? So the Jazz get a higher pick in this draft than they were at. They were at 500 at trade deadline, and in the play-in picture, they drop like 5 or 6 spots. Now they're at number 8. They improved their draft pick. Would all of us love to have a number 1 pick in this draft? I don't think anyone's that excited about it, but obviously it's better to get a higher pick than not. And I think the thing that we've learned this season, something that I personally learned from this Utah Jazz team, is how much they value their picks. That was the big thing, because I thought from all the discussion we had all season about the picks and what will convey, because I know on this channel we talked about playing to convey for a long time this season, up till trade deadline. Then they trade Kelly Olynyk, Ochai Agbaji, and Simone Fontecchio, and they absolutely dive-bombed. And I did not realize, first off, that they would dive-bomb that much, which tells me the Jazz are closer to the Wizards and the Pistons than they are to the Nuggets and the Celtics. But the other thing is that they value those draft picks a ton. Even in a draft where no one's really that excited about a top 10 pick, Utah felt it was important enough to alter their entire offseason to get, not only be bad enough to get a top 10 pick and keep their pick, but to also trade in and get a late first and a very early second. I think the Jazz have the number 2 second-round pick in this draft, or thereabouts. So if the Jazz value this pick this much in this draft, how much do they value the picks in the next 2, that have much more star power at the top. Like much more star power at the top. You know? That's the thing I learned, and I'm not going to forget that this offseason, how much the Jazz value those picks. When people are telling you everything is locked in this offseason, I don't think so. So we'll talk about it. But anyway, let's go through the game. Then we'll talk about the offseason and then what's coming next. Luka Samanic played 28 minutes in this game. He actually played pretty well. He couldn't hit a three for his life, but he was 5 for 6 from 2, 5 for 11 overall, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 turnovers for Samanic. He was helping the Jazz out a lot during this tank job because, they were playing young rookies, but it also meant starting a lot of games with Luka Samanic, and that helped them get in the top 10. I don't know if Luka Samanic is on the Jazz next year. I would not assume. I wouldn't bet on it. I can tell you that much. But it's been interesting to see him. He has size. There's some things about him that the idea of Samanic is much better than the outcome. And that's really all I got. I wish him well in Europe. I think he'll be a really nice European player, but he's just not NBA caliber. Omer Yurtseven, I think we've learned he definitely is third string center caliber, which is fine. And it proves that you can go out and get center talent out there if you need it. If you need to go get a third string center, you can get it. And that's what Omer Yurtseven is, and he was fine. He had 18 rebounds tonight, which is actually pretty monstrous. I did not realize he had 18 rebounds. 12 of them defensive, but 6 offensive. He was a rebounding monster tonight. So anyways, it's nice to have Yurtseven on the team as an emergency break instead of emergency in case of emergency center, but that's really all he's going to be, and that's fine. If he's on the team for a long time as the third center, that's great. I don't think he's really going to ever be more, and that's okay. Let's talk about Keyonte George. You guys all know that I'm the biggest fan, and tonight we saw the potential. He had, in these last 3 or 4 games, it really felt like his shot kind of came back. I know the percentages weren't perfect, but he's been shooting around like 33% or so, around that range in the last 3 or 4 games, especially in this win streak. Tonight, he was awesome. They had to rest him in the fourth quarter to lose this game. He did not come back in. That's why he only played 20 minutes. He was 8 for 11 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and a lot of this was against the Warriors starters, Chris Paul, Kuminga, Klay Thompson, and I know that team has not been that great this year, but we saw what the potential is with Keyonte George tonight, and it's bright. On the playback, we talked about Keyonte George and how, there are some things he has to work on. And it's very easy as a fan to look at the things players have to work on, because what do you notice is when things go wrong and you look at who threw the pass and who made the mistake, and it's usually the rookie, and it's usually the rookie with the ball in his hands. And when you're a rookie point guard, you've got the ball in your hands a lot, and you're going to make mistakes. And that's what you expect. That's part of why the Jazz did what they did. They needed these guys to get experience that they weren't going to get had they not made the trades over trade deadline. There were things that were weird where Keyonte wasn't getting the ball from Jordan Clarkson and Kelly Olynyk, and it was strange. And by trading the Kelly Olynyk, by resting Jordan Clarkson for a lot of these games, by putting the ball in Keyonte George's hands, it allowed him to make all these mistakes that he needed to make. He needed to. All the rookies do. Unless you're this all-world physical specimen type talent like a Victor Wembanyama or a LeBron James or an Anthony Davis or one of these guys that just has so much physical dominance, and then the lumps aren't that bad. But even Wembanyama had a rough kind of month there to start the season in terms of just shooting percentages and turnovers and things. He still showed night after night incredible flashes, and by the end of the season, Wembanyama looks like top 15 guy already, if not top 10. But Keyonte George showed us in Summer League absolutely what the potential is with his incredible shot making, the passing, the vision, and all of that. And we've seen it multiple times this season. And so for all the things that, fans might look at and be like, oh man, well, the shooting percentage from 3 has not been good since trade deadline. And the turnovers have gone up since trade deadline. Well, of course they did, because he had the ball in his hands and he's a rookie, playing against teams, playing for playoff seeds and things like that. Of course it wasn't that good. But at times we saw it be incredible. I mean, against this Golden State Warriors team, he loves playing the Warriors. He goes 8 for 11 from the field tonight. He had his 9 and threes in one game against the Warriors before, and there were people that were really dogging on. I mean, it's the weirdest fan base sometimes to me. Sometimes when they root against their own guys, especially the guys out there. And if people can be fans however they want, but for me, once the Jazz make their picks, once they pick Taylor Hendricks and Keyonte George, well, I'm a Jazz fan. I'm all in. Because all I want is for these guys to succeed, and I think all Jazz fans do as well. There's these fans out there that are more interested in being right than the team succeeding, and those are the fans you need to avoid, to be honest. Okay? If you're out there on social media and someone's out there worried more about being right and their take and whatnot being the correct take, avoid those people, because there's nothing but unhappiness there. If you're in the Jazz front office, I think you're pretty excited about what you saw from Keyonte George, because what we saw was the absolute potential. And the potential is a player with incredible shot-making ability who can get his shot off in like any situation. And we know that he has vision and passing ability. So offensively, he has a chance to be a 3-level scorer, a special offensive talent. We saw the potential. There's players that you watch that if they don't they don't show you potential at all, and you're just hoping they can show you anything. This season we saw how many games did we watch where we were just like blown away by what Keyonte George did? Now the next step for him is consistency. It's all on him. And we know he's a gym rat. We know he works hard. So all he's got to do now is work on the consistency. Get in the gym, build some strength. The other impressive thing was he lost all that weight this offseason. Remember, he goes to Baylor. He plays small forward. He gains all this weight for the team because Keyonte George, one thing we do know is he is a team guy. So he gains all this weight. It hurts his draft stock because he goes into the draft as a top 5 pick. He was there, up there with Victor Wembanyama in the top 5, okay? He drops because he gains that weight to help the Baylor Bears. It hurts his draft stock. He plays out of position all season. And then in the offseason, he gets drafted by Utah, and all he does is he goes on his own. No nutritionist, nothing. On his own, he loses all that weight, gets down to a very lean size, and now we see the quickness and the spring in Summer League. The guy has the work ethic and the competitiveness. He has the tool set. He has the physical gifts he needs. It's just on him now to just become consistent, because going from nice rookie season to good, and then going from good to great, and then going from great to superstar is hard. And it's the players that work hard in the offseason and build on those skill sets on their own. And I think Keyonte George is one of those guys. That's why I would put money on him becoming just a special offensive player for the Jazz. Kind of the type of guy that would be perfect to play off another wing if the Jazz can get one in next year's draft. Let's see. KG10 to TH5. There is no I in Keyonte. I love it. Spida B45. I appreciate it so much. $4.99, my man. That is so generous. Loved your post games all season. I'm so excited for our rookies. What's your perfect offseason? Well, let's get to that. I absolutely want to answer that. But let's talk about the rookies really quick. I thought the rookies tonight showed everything you wanted to see. You absolutely want to see the potential, and we saw the potential for all 3 of them. We saw the special scoring and offensive ability with Keyonte George, with the passing as well. 4 assists tonight. Could not have had a more impressive game. 21 points and 4 assists in 20 minutes. It shows you what he can do. The guy is an absolute baller. Let's see. Speaking of rookies, let's just talk about Taylor Hendricks just real quick. We already did a little bit. 16 and 8 with 2 assists, 3 steals, and a block. I think those are the types of numbers you can expect from Taylor Hendricks pretty regularly going forward. He also, just like Keyonte, just needs to work on his game. But the 3-point shot, in fact, I'm just curious because he started really hitting those threes in the last 6-7 games. I was just waiting for it because you knew it was going to happen. Per game for the season, Taylor Hendricks ends the season at 37%, just 0.1 below 38% from 3. Are you serious? Are you serial? Are you coming from Crazy Town? The guy is a knockdown 3-point shooter. He is a special defender, and the Jazz got him at 9. those types of guys, I mean, where does Taylor Hendricks go in this draft with what he can do? He would be top 5, I can tell you that much, very easily. And so Utah gets 2 really nice rookies in this draft. And then we haven't even talked about Brice Sensabaugh and the things that he's shown us and his potential. Now, I don't know if Brice Sensabaugh, and I could be wrong, this may look bad in like 3 years. Brice Sensabaugh becomes this otherworldly talent, but he looks really nice to me. But what we saw from Taylor Hendricks and Keyonte George, the Jazz absolutely had an awesome draft. The best draft in the NBA was the San Antonio Spurs, because they got Victor Wembanyama. And anyone who disagrees, you're wrong. He's going to be super special, and he might be the best player in the NBA in like 2 years. He's that special. He's unbelievable. But after that, you got to give the Jazz, I mean, I think the Jazz have an argument for what, second best draft? You could argue the Houston Rockets because, you know, maybe Houston gets number 2, but Utah's number 3 if Houston's 2. They got 2 special rookies. And that's all we saw this offseason. It's been fantastic. I am personally extremely excited, Spida B45. I am very excited. Personally, just, I couldn't be more excited. And guess what? We've also found a few new things this offseason as well. One thing we found out is I think Johnny Juzang, I don't know why they put Key at shooting guard and Juzang. What is that? But anyways, Johnny Juzang is a shooter. For the season, Juzang is absolutely lighting it up. This is his 2nd season. And I'm excited to have Juzang on this team for a long while because this guy's an absolute sniper. Look at that, 41.6%. They, you know, we played the 3 rookies to see what they had, but guess what? We had a sophomore on the team, and his name was Johnny Juzang. And look at this, 41.6% from 3. You bring him in off the bench, and he is knocking them down. And he's shown that he can do a lot of different things. So can Johnny Juzang just work on his strength? You know? It's so much of this game is just being able to withstand the grind and withstand the pounding from other players. And you know what? All of these guys, if they can just work on just that just get into elite physical shape so that when you get on the floor, you're playing at an elite level from minute 1 to minute 48. And, you know, Juzang has shown a lot. It's really exciting to see what he's doing. Brice Sensabaugh had the ball in his hands a lot this game. He played 28 minutes. We've seen a lot this, and what I was really happy with Sensabaugh is we've seen that what he did in college translates to the NBA. And just like Keyonte George and just like Taylor Hendricks, now you've got to work on the efficiency and you've got to work on the consistency. Can Brice Sensabaugh drop maybe 5 pounds and just build some strength, get some muscle, get in the weight room, make it so that you punish guys instead of you don't want to be punished, you want to be punishing them, right? You're either punishing someone physically or you're blowing past them, you know, at the basket with your first step. So Brice Sensabaugh, I think he's just got to drop 5 pounds and go get in the weight room, and I think he has a chance to be, you know, pretty nice. And we'll see what that ceiling is for him, but we know that he can shoot the ball. We know he can create his own shot. And that mid-range shot from him is so nice. I mean, he had me scared. When I was hoping the Warriors were going to win this game, you know who I was scared of? Brice Sensabaugh. And it was a little tough, and, you know, he's a rookie, but I think next year, if it's like second-year Sensabaugh, he wins that game for Utah, I think, if he takes a step. And he's really young. All 3 of these rookies for the Jazz are about 20 years old. All 3. They are so young. And so the Jazz are having these guys on the team for a long time. It's time to start building that core of young players, and that's what I think is going to happen. And we'll talk about your question, Spida B45. I appreciate it. Micah Potter, not a ton to say. It was nice to see him in this game. He was 2 for 3 from 3, which was scary for me. That rhymed. 21 minutes. I'm a Micah Potter fan just because I appreciate guys like Potter that are willing to do what it takes to help the team, and that's what he was willing to do. And so that's great, and we'll see. Maybe he'll make the team next year. There's some things to like about Micah Potter, and there's some things about what he can be overall as a player, but he can shoot the 3, and he's big, and he makes smart decisions, and, you know, spot minutes in the future I don't think is out of the question, but we'll see. Kira Lewis Jr., they played Kira Lewis Jr. a lot this game, and that was because they did not want to win. And so he gets 27 minutes, but you know what? He's really fast. He was 50% from the field, 13 points. Uh, I just think Kira Lewis Jr. is one of those guys that you see how fast he is and you think about what he could possibly be, and it just doesn't really quite translate during the game. Baisley played 6 minutes. He was too good. Unless he got hurt. I didn't see. Did he get hurt? I don't think so. But Baisley was making plays out there. Holy cow, was he doing a good job. And they sat him right away. But Baisley will be fun to watch next season. I really hope that because I think Baisley and Kenneth Lofton Jr. got 1 year guaranteed this year, and I believe second year and third. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But I believe second and third year for them is non-guaranteed. So the Jazz could possibly, waive them. I hope not, because Kenneth Lofton Jr. and Darius Baisley are a lot of fun. I think Kenneth Lofton Jr., for me, I think in the future, I would love him to be the sixth man. Let's let Kenneth Lofton Jr. be a part of this franchise and grow with this team. Let's see if you can get him to lose 10, 15 pounds. Keep the strength. You can tell he's got strength for sure. Can he keep the strength and just get a little leaner so he's a little bit quicker? Because I think there's a player there that's really interesting if you can just continue to work with him. Really interesting. The Real Deal, Lars Jarvinen, member for 1 month. Holy smokes, a whole month. I appreciate it. What a great season, you guys. Can't wait to see what's in store the next couple seasons with our rookie development and draft picks. Thanks for all the great work, nerd. Take note. Thank you to you, Real Deal, Lars Jarvinen. I can't do this without you guys, and I appreciate every single one of you doing these videos every single game. I think I missed 2 or 3 this year, so I apologize. But I try to do every single game that I possibly can. There's times where I get sick. There's times where I'm out of town. Usually I miss 1 or so around Christmas time because I usually take a trip to either my in-laws or my parents' house with my family. But I try to do every single game that I can. And we are going to do more news videos. I got to do more news videos. And that's what I'm going to do this offseason. I am committed to doing this channel so much more. So there is not a drop-off because I think the offseason, for me at least, is so much fun. And we'll be having so many things on SLC Dunk, so make sure you're going there. As you know, I manage that site and the writers there. Make sure you're at SLC Dunk and making that a part of your day because that's great stuff that gets put up there. All right, so we went through the game. Luckily, the Jazz lost because they locked in the 8. And it looks like, and if you don't follow him, Ken Clayton on Twitter, he's great with some of the ins and outs of the cap and with the draft. I think they're going to roll a dice, and we'll find out what we get, either the 28th or the 29th pick in the first round. So I'm not quite sure how that works. I'm not sure. But it's a late first-round pick, 28 or 29. So that pick is not that great, but who knows? Maybe we get someone nice. We'll get at least 2 first-round guys this season, which is crazy. And then 28 or 29, and then you get like 1 and 2 from the second round. So we'll see. So let's see. So Spider B45, what's your perfect offseason? For me, and this is me, if you disagree, that's fine. You can let me know in the comments what you would do and what you think and what you would be your perfect offseason. I know some people's perfect offseason is that the Dallas Mavericks somehow, yes, the Idaho connection was really rough. Yes, it was bad. But this year, my in-laws are in Logan, so the connection there is usually somewhat better. Anyways, a lot of people's perfect offseason is the Dallas Mavericks magically decide they want to trade the Utah Jazz Luka Doncic. Like, somehow that just happens. I have many times when I've seen people talk about that, I've wondered to myself, well, how does this happen? And then there's like crickets. And if you've ever watched South Park, have you ever watched the Gnome episode where they go like, Utah Jazz attain lots of draft picks? Question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. The Jazz trade for Luka Doncic. It's like, well, what's the question mark part? What happens that forces the Dallas Mavericks to trade Luka Doncic to the Utah Jazz? I just don't think that's happening. I just don't think so. Nor do I think that's my perfect offseason, because look at the Phoenix Suns when you trade for those superstars and you give up all your assets, and they may not make it out of the play-in. Or maybe they're in the playoffs. I can't remember. I haven't paid too much attention today, all the seeding changes. But you know what I would really like is Cooper Flagg. That's my perfect offseason. And I know this offseason he's not in this draft, and I know that's the 2025, 20 whatever draft. That's the next year. But my perfect offseason is the offseason that sets me up to get that player. Right now, I think it's Portland. I can't remember exactly. But you've got Ace Bailey looking like an absolute star. You've got Cooper Flagg looking like a transcendent player. You've got other guys like Malawach. You've got Dylan Harper, son of Ron Harper, looking the MVP of the McDonald's All-American while he's playing with Cooper Flagg and Ace Bailey, and he wins the MVP of the game. The Jazz have a chance to get a special player in that next draft, and all they got to be is bottom 4. All you got to be is bottom 4. And if you get number 1, guess what? Guess what? You just changed your franchise for 10, 15 years, right? Right? The San Antonio Spurs are changed forever because of this pick, just like they were changed forever when they got Tim Duncan, right? Oh, Platinum Eagles, member for 1 month. I gave you a lot of crap this year on Twitter, but love your show and will continue to support your channel. Love Hoopsner. All right. Well, whoever, if you were, whatever. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sometimes I get a little angry on Twitter. I get on Twitter less and less because I tell you what, I get on there and I read some of these takes and I just go, what is the thinking here? You know, I'm actually, and I'm going to do a video on it because, well, I don't know if it would translate to a video, but I'm going to write an article about this idea that the Jazz just trade for a star. Like, I'm going to go to the Ringer top 100 list, and if you, okay. Well, let me know on Twitter. Just say it was me. Then I'll know who you were, and then I'll be less likely to block you. Or send me a DM. That's fine too. But anyways, when I want to go and just like, and you can do this as yourself. Go to the Ringer 100. And by the way, this is just a life lesson. Go try something yourself. You know? We spend so much time listening to other people tell us what to think. And I guess that's ironic coming from someone like me who talks about the Jazz. But go watch the Jazz. How many people that go on Twitter and just fire off some tweet like, the Hoops Nerd's an idiot, fire off tweet. I can't believe you think this, Hoops Nerd. Well, then, did you watch the game? Did you watch what was happening? Have you seen what's going on with the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama? Did you watch those games? Because it changed their franchise forever. How did they get that guy? They didn't trade for him. You think the Spurs are trading Victor Wembanyama? They're not. And if you think Luka Doncic is the guy, well, maybe, but he's pretty happy in Dallas. And by the way, Dallas might make the Western Conference Finals. They look awesome. You know? So, anyways, go through the Ringer top 100. Go through every single one and tell me when the Jazz call that front office what their answer is when Danny Ainge says, "Oh, hello, Denver. Would you like to trade us Nikola Jokic?" How quickly do they hang up the phone? Or when you call the Milwaukee Bucks asking about Giannis Antetokounmpo, how quickly are they hanging up the phone? Or the Dallas Mavericks and Luka Doncic, they are not trading you their guy. They're not trading you their guy, okay? It's just not happening. Someone please explain to me how that happens, because every single time someone explains it to me, it's basically like, well, you know, if this happens, then maybe he'll ask his way out. Well, guess what? I'm telling you right now, if Luka Doncic wants out and he doesn't have a contract with anyone, is Utah on the top of his list, or is he going to LA or Miami? I'm telling you right now, I'm not sure that Utah is the number one on the list. So you're probably getting him for like a year. Okay? So anyways, back to JB. Not to get heated or anything, but sometimes it takes a little bit to explain these things. I must sound like such a jerk right now. I must sound like such a know-it-all. But here's the thing. Every single championship team, and especially the ones that have built dynasties, have not traded for those guys. They've either gotten them in the draft, and it's a vast majority that are in the draft, by the way, or they've gotten them in free agency. And basically, if they've gotten them in free agency, it was Miami with LeBron James coming to Miami. I'm going to South Beach. Or it was the Los Angeles Lakers and Shaq, right? And even the Lakers had to draft Kobe Bryant, and even the Miami Heat had to draft Dwayne Wade. And guess what? Utah's not having a scenario where LeBron James and Chris Bosh are coming to the Jazz to join Larry Markkinen, okay? That is not a scenario that's happening. It's just not. I hate to break it to you. It's not. Same thing. If you're competing with the Lakers in Miami, you are at a disadvantage. And Justin Zanuck even talked about that in his closing interview in the Jazz last home game. That is not really a realistic avenue. So it's trade or draft. And how many, the Toronto Raptors is one you can talk to. They got a player for a year and won the title. Do we really think that if the Jazz get 1 year of Luka Doncic, they're winning a title and then he leaves? Is that the scenario that we think can happen? If I had a crystal ball that told me that was the likelihood, then I would want to do that, sure. But that's not going to be very likely, nor do I think this team is ready for it, nor do I think that that is the smartest thing to do. What I do think is that we've seen that the Jazz have an incredible asset in Larry Markkinen that they can either re-sign or they can extend or they can trade him. They can renegotiate his contract, get him to a long-term deal, because the crazy thing about Markkinen's contract is he's non-guaranteed next season. They can either extend him for 4 years at a max level, which is likely what he deserves, although he didn't make the All-Star team this year, by the way. And the year before he made the All-Star team because of injury reserve, I believe. I can't remember exactly. But he did legit make the All-Star team, so he is an All-Star. But he was not an All-Star this year. And you're looking at a max contract. Now, the Jazz can do it, and I think they'd be fine. Their books will be clean, that if they do that, I think they'll be okay. But that is something you've got to be careful about. Because when you start giving max contracts to non-All-Stars, you start getting into hairy situations. So, what is my perfect offseason? My perfect offseason is the Detroit Pistons, who, by the way, I was watching their post-game comments like a hawk. Like a hawk. They said they're going to make changes. So what if the Detroit Pistons call and say, we'd like to give you 3 unprotected first-round picks and 2 pick swaps for Larry Markkinen, but we want to do a sign and trade because we want Larry Markkinen for 5 years. That's my perfect scenario. So then you go and maybe you can get trade him for one of their young players and 3 first-round picks? That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. And then what does that do? Well, it puts young players on like Asar Thompson for Larry Markkinen. How many people would do that? It's a possibility. I don't know if they give up Asar Thompson, but that's a thought. That's my perfect off season because they need shooting. Maybe they give you, instead of that, they give you a treasure trove of picks, and then because they get to pick Asar Thompson, they get Larry Markkinen, and you're just super excited. But they still have a bad coach, and so you still have a chance to get really great picks out of the Detroit Pistons. Maybe. But what that does is that allows you to develop your young players next year. They will get 3 players in this draft, 2 first-round picks, unless they trade up. And you play all those rookies. You let them develop. You enjoy the winning moments for Keyonte George and Taylor Hendricks and Brice Sensabaugh and please say Stephon Castle, but probably not. And you go and you get yourself the worst record in the NBA, if not the worst, at least bottom 3, and you give yourself a chance for a transcendent player like Cooper Flagg or Ace Bailey or Malawach. And you absolutely, that's my perfect offseason. Because to me, next season is the season of capture the flag. The season before, we wanted to see them tank all the way for Wembanyama, and it didn't work. But that's okay. The Jazz had so many veteran players, there was just no way for them. You can't just let your whole team not play, and they had to trade them. They tried. You can't help that the Lakers were stupid and didn't trade for Mike Conley sooner. That's not Danny Ainge's fault. You can't just give players away for free, because here's the thing. For everyone who complained that we didn't tank enough, that included myself, And I do think the Jazz could have gotten a little bit higher, but turns out Taylor Hendricks is pretty darn nice. Jarris Walker isn't even playing for Indiana right now. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. Maybe he's played recently. I don't know. But Taylor Hendricks has been playing, and Taylor Hendricks looks like he's a 38% three-point shooter and plays great defense, and that's as a rookie, right? So he's only going to get better. Utah could have probably got to 7 or 6, but based off of how the lottery balls went, we wouldn't have gotten there. You know, we would have ended up with that anyway. So, and the thing that would have driven people crazy is probably the Utah Jazz giving Mike Conley to the Lakers for nothing. Is that really what would have made people feel better? To help the Lakers get a former All-Star for nothing? By the way, that was so dumb by the Lakers to not trade for Mike Conley sooner. He would have been such a great piece for them, and it made us. And I also thought, why didn't they trade for Kelly Olynyk? It's so weird. The Lakers are so dumb. I mean, can you imagine being a Lakers fan and just squandering LeBron James? It's crazy. It's crazy. But anyways, that's my perfect offseason. And also, by the way, Stephon Castle falls to the Jazz somehow. Like, everyone just is silly and looks at the three-point percentage and says, oh, man, he can't shoot threes, so better not draft him. Okay, because no one's ever developed their shot. The guy is so good in every aspect you want players to be good at. Toughness, defense, passing. He's intelligent. He cares in every moment of the game to win the game. I mean, I'm so in love with Stephon Castle. I can't tell you. And the shot will come around. And if it doesn't matter, because in the end, what's the prize? Cooper Flag, baby. It's freaking Cooper Flag. It's capture the flag all season next year. Now, the Jazz may break my heart. That's my off-season plan. That's what I want. I want it very much. Can we please do this for the first time as a team? And it's the reason why I have hope that we may. All signs are pointing to it, unless, unless they rest Markkanen, I don't know, on back ends of backs-to-backs and stuff like that. But Utah has to do that. They have to. That is how you get a championship team. If they don't, then I don't want to hear from, the front office that championship is the goal. But each time they talk, they say championship is the goal, championship is the goal, championship is the goal. Well, guess what? The teams that get to the championship draft their stars. Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan. Name them. Who else? And then the championships that were won without draft, those guys went there, Shaq goes to LA, like we said. LeBron goes to Miami. But Cleveland drafted LeBron, and guess what? He came back, and they won a title with him. It is few and far between the teams win that are not in that scenario. Golden State Warriors, who did they draft? Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. They drafted those guys. Are we seeing a pattern? You have to draft them. Now, you can hope to get lucky in the mid to late lottery, but the problem with not going for a top pick is that, yes, you may get a top 15 player late in the lottery, like the Jazz did with Donovan Mitchell. Like a player that's probably been around 15th best player in the league at times, and at times he's like the 30th best player because he can't make a shot when it matters. But at times he's also top 15 when he's playing really well. But to expect to hit on that multiple times is asinine. It's stupid. It doesn't happen, okay? If you want to win a championship, you need two guys. Jordan doesn't win the title without Scottie Pippen, right? But they don't do it at all without Michael Jordan. And guess where they picked Michael Jordan? Number 3. They got lucky. He didn't go number 2. They got him number 3. Olajuwon goes 1. You have to get that number 1 guy, and then you start trading for the other guys. But the Jazz have it set up now in a perfect way where these 3 young rookies have a chance to be special players. And if they can go get and who knows, maybe Keyonte George turns into like Steph Curry. Maybe he will. I don't know. Who's to say he can't? But from what we've seen, I think Keyonte George is looking like a potential all-star. And I think that's kind of what he can be, and that's a great goal for him, and I think he can get there at some point. But I don't think Keyonte George is looking to me like a potential top 5 MVP caliber player. And if you want that guy, you've got to get in the top 3. You just do. to get him. The scouting is too good now. Danny Ainge knows it. He got Jason Tatum, who's a top 5 player, and Boston's likely winning the championship. Another team where, guess who they draft? Jason Tatum. They drafted, and they draft Jaylen Brown. So it's just how this works. And then you trade for players that fit your star's skill set. You trade for Derek White. You trade for Jrue Holiday and all those guys. But you don't do it too soon. You have to have that cornerstone. You have to have that base. You have to. You have to. The Jazz have really nice players to build around, but they need a cornerstone. They need 2 cornerstones. And they don't have one at all right now. Lauri Markkanen is a nice second or third option on a team. He is not a number 1 guy. And the question is, do you win too many games with Lauri Markkanen? That's the question. Can you somehow finagle it that you get in the top 3 with him? Perhaps. I mean, maybe you can do what the Oklahoma City Thunder did, and he's just not playing at all. And there's worse things in your life than being Lauri Markkanen and being paid max money to sit on the bench. Like, there's worse things. Or do you use him to get even more assets and more bites at that apple to get more chances, more shots at superstars? That's what the game is. That's what we're doing. We're star hunting. It's not big game hunting. It's star hunting. And that's what the Jazz have to do. They have to do it. If championship is the goal, otherwise, what are we doing? Do you want to be 8 or 9 in the draft next year and watch Cooper Flagg come off the board and watch Ace Bailey come off the board and watch Malawach come off the board and you watch Dylan Harper come off? And, I mean, I'll just go through them. By the end of next year, if you're 8 or 9, you're missing out again. And so Utah needs to get in that top 5 at least. And they need to go for it like they've never gone for it before. And that means making some really tough choices. But they've already made the 2 toughest ones, right? The 2 toughest ones are already out the door. They traded Rudy Gobert. They traded Donovan Mitchell, got incredible returns on them. By the way, Donovan Mitchell is leaving Cleveland. Just count on it. If you want to get mad on me on Twitter, go ahead. But I know what I know, okay? And what I know is what I know. But anyways, they've already made the 2 toughest choices. They've just got to make a couple more. We'll see what they do with Walker Kessler. I think we'll see what if he's on the team or not. But he certainly didn't have a super impressive sophomore season. It was not super impressive. He had a chance to beat out John Collins this year, and he did not. So we'll see. But Utah is going to be really fun next year. I think Taylor Hendricks and Keyonte George have a chance to be really good next year. And, you know, it's tough. I think that those guys are the guys you need to worry about resting next year rather than Markkanen. I want to secure the bag. All right? I want to get that flag, and I want to plant it in Utah, and I want that to be a cornerstone part of this Jazz team for a long time. Yeah, all these people that are talking about, you know, and I get it. I'm on the Jazz Facebook groups just because I'm curious about them. I'm on the Jazz Twitter. I'm in these places. I don't really go to Jazz Reddit very much because I don't care. But I know what the fans will say. And I get it. It's not fun to lose. But you know what happens when you get that cornerstone guy? A lot of people start buying season tickets. A lot of people start buying jerseys that say FLAGG on the back. Right? There might be a lot of people that start naming their kids Cooper. Although there's a lot of Coopers out there already. Anyways, you know, and is there a more fun name out there than Ace Bailey? The guy is looking awesome. And we're not even talking 2026. I think the Jazz have to go fully young, go fully with these guys, let them take their lumps, let them lose, but they need their top 3 pick. You have to get your top 3 pick. You have to. You have to. Otherwise, what are we doing? Don't tell me championship if you're not willing to do the hard things. Okay? And the Jazz surprised me this year. They're willing to do it. The things they did just for this pick this year, if they're willing to do this for this pick this year, then what are they willing to do next year? And there's a few things out there that I've kind of, a sniff of this, a sniff of that, a birdie here, a birdie there, that makes me think that might be possible. But we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, guys, it's been an absolute blast this year. I am so excited to see what they do this offseason. Let's see. It starts now. It's over. We'll have locker room clean out. We'll have, Danny Ainge is going to start sending out every rumor and everything out there, and we're going to cover every single one. With this draft coming up, I'm excited to follow it. I love Stephon Castle. I really like Cody Williams. I'm coming around to the idea of Bucelis. I really like some of these guys. Now, do I think they're guys that will change the Jazz forever? No, but I do think there's guys in here that could be potential starters on a championship team if they pan out. And I think Stephon Castle is one of those guys. But we'll see. Either way, guys, you've got to make sure, if you're a Jazz fan, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure that you subscribe right this second. Right this second. Let's just see. So, anyways, after today, let's see where Tankathon has us. Utah loses again, ends 2-8. They have a 6% chance at the #1 overall pick. Whatever you guys do, whatever you can do, the vibes, the prayers, the mojo, the voodoo dolls, whatever it is that you do to help get the Jazz this pick, do it. So we can get in the top 4, because I want Stephon Castle really bad. Really, really bad. So let's do that. That would be fun. It's going to be, I have this weird feeling Utah's going to win the lottery this year. In the year that there isn't a Cooper Flag at the top or a Zion Williamson or whatever, the Jazz are going to win. It seems like that's when we do actually win. If you'll remember, the Jazz won the lottery and picked Enes Kanter 3. Enes Kanter we picked. Let's not do that again. Let's get Stephon Castle. And maybe this looks stupid in 3 years when everyone's like, oh my gosh, Modest Bucelis, why didn't they pick Modest Bucelis? He was right there. Well, we'll see. But let's just hope they win top 3 in this draft. It would be really nice, because then you're getting a pick of Castle, Sarr. Who else do you get? Or, any of these guys. Or maybe you just trade back. I don't know. Bucelis, Ron Holland. I don't know. I think the Jazz, if they go #1 or 2, I think they take Stephon Castle, either one. I think that's legit how much they like him. And how much I like him. I remember talking about him months ago. Like, why isn't this guy higher? Let's see. Guess what time it is? It's the season finale. It's time to give a shout out to the All-Stars. It's time to talk about the draft. Let me pull up the music here quick. Let's see. KG10 to TH5, $2. My man, I appreciate it so much. I'm super chatting Adam Silver right now. Build the castle. Do it. Tell him to like the Jazz more. I don't know. Let's lower this so it's not too loud. All right. If the lottery was today, with the Jazz locked in at 8, what would happen? Let's see. Boom. What happens? Boom! It happened! Utah goes to #3. Jumps 5 spots. Yeah! How does this mock draft? Yeah, baby! Yes! Yes! That's the type of luck I want to see, baby! Let's see it, baby! At worst, the Jazz get Alexander Sarr or Rizier, 6'9". But guess what? They have Stephon Castle here. I'm telling you right now, No Ceilings has him going 3. I'm taking him 3, baby. We're going castle building. You know what we're going to do? We got the key. It's the key to the castle. And we've got a plan to... Because what's a castle without a flag? You got to put a flag on top. That's what we need. Exactly, KG10. Castle building. Let's make this happen. Let's do this. Key to the castle, baby. The castle and the flag. Exactly. Exactly. We need our fortress of solitude and everything. We need a fortress. We got the key to it. We need the castle. We need the flag. And then maybe we need an AJ DeBonsa. I don't know how he fits in, but you need an AJ DeBonsa too. Somehow he fits in there. I haven't figured that one out yet. That's right. Hockey team. By the way, I want it to be the Golden Eagles for the hockey team. All right, guys. All you All-Stars, I love you guys. I don't say that a lot, but I mean it because you guys actually just make it so worthwhile to be a part of this channel and do everything. I wouldn't do this if it weren't for you guys. I'm dead serious. It is fun because of you and your support that I do this every day. Or every Jazz game, but the goal is every day to do work on this channel. It takes time to produce videos. It takes time. But this offseason, we're going every day, baby. It's either work towards producing videos or live reactions. So anyways, I want to give a shout out to the All-Stars, but to all you members who are part of this channel, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for another incredible season. Next year is going to be fantastic. Whatever the Jazz do, we'll be here. You can bet on that. It's never going away. All right, let's give a shout out to Ryan Perry, the legend, Nathan Butnett Burkhart, Fly Eagles Fly, Platinum Eagles, the real deal, Lars Jarvin, and Just Buckets, JB. Yeah, baby, Elliot Madsen, Christian House Money to Haas, the outlaw Jesse James Nelson, Ezekiel Recibe, the man from down under. See ya, Alexa later. Built Ford Tough, Alexander Tufts, Jorge Arrizaga, mi amigo de abajo. Dígalo bien! Jordan to go best rule. TGD total game domination. Tyson Price, the price is right. Austin R. Grant, editor extraordinaire. KG10 to TH5, DW to CB. How about KG10 to Castle 6 or whatever he is? Patrick Kakubo, the connoisseur, and Robert Hall of Fame. Guys, what a fun season. We will be back. This is not the end. Get ready. Get ready. Who's hyped for the draft? Who's hyped for the offseason? Who's ready? I am. I hope you are. I will talk to you next time.